You men receive my instructions. Obey my commands, protect yourselves at all times. You touch gloves now, you're boxing at the bell. God bless you both. Touch gloves.
Well, a look and eyes that speak volumes, Barry. WBO middleweight championship of the world. Happy to say that Tyson Fury is also joining us at ringside. We'll hear from him at the end of what promises to be an intriguing opening round.
It's all about Billy staying safe. The move's gonna start fast, want to make Billy feel that power. And even though Billy's got to keep moving, he can't run, he got to show the move, he can't just walk through him.
The chance for the Canadian, an electric atmosphere here in Laval, on the outskirts of Montreal. Billy Joe Saunders with the reach advantage. Never been defeated. Lemieux with 3 defeats on his record, most notably, of course, when he was stopped by Gennady Golovkin. He's come back from that impressively, though.
Oh, it's good there from Billy. Nice, fast left hand, right hand over the top. So be careful not to leave that chin up when he throws that backhand or that left hand.
Nothing as yet of note from Lemieux, who does tend to try to throw traps, tries to lure his man in so he can land those big punches, most notably the left hook.
But he does square his feet, and we saw it there. And that's where Billy got to use that fast footwork, get on the outside, throw the punches, and then move.
Dominic Ingle was absolutely insistent when talking to us that he's got to approach it a round at a time. He's got to win each round. Billy Joe Saunders maintain concentration right the way through and utilise his much improved fitness that he's regained over the last 18 months or so.
It's good concentration so far, good upper body movement from Billy, good, the footwork's pretty good. The move trying to set the traps, but just holding his feet, a little bit on his heels, and Billy's allowed to get those, every now and again, those fast combinations off.
It's been a nice, confident start so far for Saunders. Nothing of note from Lemieux. He tends to come forward in straight lines, Barry.
He does, but he's getting that left foot on the outside of Billy's right foot, which is the right thing to do, but you've got to let that right hand go, Lemieux, when he gets in close.
He's had 28 wins inside 3 rounds by any stretch of the imagination. From 38 wins, that is a really impressive statistic.
Lovely lead right uppercut there from Saunders. Bit of a risky shot, but it worked, come off. Been a good sharp start so far from Billy Joe.
The bookies couldn't separate them. Absolute even money fight. Pick 'em fight, as they say. Been a nice, bright opening from Saunders.
He's had his box well, but there was always a feeling he was going to be able to box David Lemieux. It's just when he gets caught, that's when we're going to know.
And surely at some stage, the chin of Saunders, and he's got a very good chin, surely at some stage it is likely to be tested, but it's not been tested in the opening round. That's a really good, bright start for the champion, and that's got to be one in the bag, surely, Tyson.
Yes, a fantastic start from Billy Joe Saunders. Used his jab excellently throughout that first round. Great movement. I'd like to see him throw a few more feints in there and use the right uppercut as Lemieux comes forward.
Dominic Ingle here in the corner, just listening there.
And he's missing with everything. Yeah? Right, deep breathing, right. Okay?
Mark Ramsey speaking to his man in French, of course. Very much more concerned.
Yes, it sounds like a very high tense corner. You know, they've come here with a puncher's game plan. You know, they know they're not going to outbox Billy Joe Saunders, so they've got to land them big punches.
And so far, not able to do that. Canadian supporters. David Lemieux's girlfriend watching on.
Well, Lemieux had a good look at Saunders. He knows what he has to do. He knows what he's up against now. He knows that Billy got fast feet. He knew that, but until you actually get in the ring and experience it yourself, you're not sure exactly what you've got to play with, and he knows now. Then you got to quicken his feet up when Saunders moves back. You got to be right on him.
To leap in behind that right hand, Lemieux. Saunders saw it coming and slipped the punch with ease.
When Lemieux's doing the right thing with his front foot, he's getting on the outside. You got to release and have confidence that he's going to land with that right hand.
Oh, that's a quality shot.
And they did the right thing. Didn't hold his feet. Didn't get overconfident to look for another shot. He landed with a clear scoring punch. Got out of the way. Let Lemieux chase the fight.
And a nice, accurate jab from Saunders. A little bit of reddening around the left cheek of Lemieux already. And it's that right-hand lead that's done it. At last he gets through, Lemieux, with his first, maybe his first real scoring shot of the fight.
Yeah, right hand to the chest there, doubled up the jab, and that was a better idea from him. But as you said, John, he's coming forward in straight lines, so he's closing the gap. Because it is in straight lines, he's not cutting off the ring. So far, Saunders is allowed to can get himself out of trouble.
Concentration, so much the key in this fight for Saunders, to stay away from those Canadian bombs.
You know what comes into play tonight? The amateur pedigree of Saunders. That footwork in and out. Being able to make people miss and then counter really effectively.
An Olympian in 2008, Billy Joe. And arguably, of all those talented fighters who switched over in 2008, arguably he's done the best of the lot.
He's doing well here because he's winning the fight, but he's not having to work too hard. Oh, lovely left hand there from Saunders.
Lemieux walked into that one. Trying to wind up on a big right hand to gain a bit of respect from Saunders, but so far, with that one notable exception when he landed the right hand into the chest, he's been punching shadows, and again.
He's on fire right now, isn't he, Saunders? Upper body movement, slipping punches with his hands down, full of confidence.
Oh, good shot. Great shot from Saunders. Half smile from Lemieux, but he was stunned by that one. It was the speed of Saunders catching him pretty flush with that left hand, and that is a good round for Billy Joe Saunders.
Well, it's a fantastic round, because what he's doing, he's not having to work too hard, which is, Lemieux wanted to make him work hard early, get him tired, make all the pressure, and then go to work. But what's happening is, Saunders is allowed to work, he's feinting, not as much as we would like, as Tyson was rightly saying. But he's making him miss, and he's the one putting pressure on David Lemieux.
They're all slowing him up, but let's wait. Let's keep frustrated. Il faut qu'on y coupe ses jambes en premier, okay? C'est que je veux voir la droite au corps.
He's going to be delighted with that one, isn't he, Tyson?
Very much so. I believe when Billy Joe is pushed, we will see the best of Billy Joe. The harder the opponent becomes, Billy Joe rises to the occasion. As we're seeing over the first two rounds. Excellent boxing from Billy Joe Saunders.
There's that big left hand, Barry.
And again, he's frustrated David Lemieux. That's what he's done. He's frustrated him. Lemieux's now he's he's starting to panic, overextending, and Billy's starting to push him back a little bit now. It's a really good performance early on.
Early stage is dominated by the champion as we move now towards the third round. No doubt, surely, on the judges' cards, who's taken the first two.
But he has to keep that concentration up. It's very important. It's not like being full of confidence. Don't get too cocky.
And what he doesn't need to do is allow himself to be sucked into Lemieux's tactics, which he would surely favour the toe-to-toe battle, the toe-to-toe war.
Just see the little half a step back there from Saunders. Lemieux trying to get close. He's just judging the distance really well there, Saunders. Making Lemieux just chase shadows for the minute. And if he stays at this tempo, this is perfect for Saunders. The slower pace for the better technician to shoot him down to the ground.
Content to spear him behind that southpaw lead. Look at the hand speed of Saunders.
But he didn't over-engage.
Lemieux beckoning him on, wants him to come in, wants him to engage, wants him to get into his territory.
And that's that we talked about, the discipline from Saunders. He landed with two good shots, where before in other fights he would let his hands go. He's not getting carried away, he's not allowing Lemieux to be able to counter.
Saunders goes walkabout. The boos and jeers come from the Canadian supporters who want to see more success for their man.
Lemoo's headhunting, and that's why he's having trouble hitting the target. He should be aiming for the chest. The head moves, but the body doesn't move. Aim for the chest, slow Saunders down. That's what he needs to do.
Body shot at last gets through from Lemieux, but Saunders rode it. He was in reverse gear when it finally came towards the intended target. Good footwork from Saunders.
And upper body movement also. He's rolling under punches, changes direction all the time. Just when Lemieux starts to get a little bit of a pattern to his work, Billy changes direction, Saunders does, and then Lemieux's got to reset every time.
Fitness will be key as well down the stretch, assuming it goes as far as that. Lemieux just starting to get a little bit closer. Misses with two big swings, a half smile from Saunders as he punished him with a right-hand counter.
Starting to take chances here, Lemieux, and that's good for Saunders, leaving himself open. Lemieux.
Quality 1-2 once more from the champion there. Lemieux made to miss, now he does get in with the left hand, and the crowd respond. That, of course, the noise of the crowd can sometimes influence judges, but that is really pretty much the only clear success of the round.
I think that was another great round for Saunders. Lemieux had a little bit of success towards the end. Nothing too much to worry about. I'd like to see Billy Joe keep very focused, you know, not get a bit complacent, because he's starting to land punches on Lemieux quite comfortable. And I've been in that situation before myself. And when it's easy to land on an opponent, sometimes you get complacent and then leave yourself wide open to get caught. So I'd like to see him stick behind that jab, stay focused a little bit more than he already is.
Tactics at this stage working.
He's doing fantastic. You know, I've known Billy Joe a very, very long time, and this is the best I've ever seen him box. Against arguably one of the best opponents he's faced.
As Steve, Billy Joe's young son, penny for his thoughts. Something like, "Come on, Dad." So we go now into the fourth. Got it 3 out of 3 for Billy Joe Saunders,
yeah,
Barry?
I think he's boxing tremendously well. I think Lemieux made a bit more of an effort, got a little bit closer, landed him some glancing shots in that row. The thing with Lemieux, his foot positioning is okay. He's on the his left foot's on the outside, gives him the advantage to land that right hand on the guard. But Billy's just changing direction all the time and keeping that discipline going. He's not getting complacent, as Tyson was rightly saying, and he's boxing very well, very disciplined.
It's a different sort of approach to that of Golovkin, is by no means as fleet-footed as Billy Joe Saunders, but Golovkin, he undid him behind the jab, and the jab is really working well for Billy Joe Saunders as well.
And the important thing so far for Saunders, that was a right hand, never really caught the target there, that right hand. The crowd getting a bit excited. He's not having to work too hard. It's not that the moves forcing him to work hard and then being able to tire him out. I think it's still quite comfortable so far for Saunders.
Again, Lemieux trying to beckon him in. Oh, good combination, good 2 scoring shots from Billy Joe, and another lovely jab.
Jab's been great for Saunders tonight.
Against Chris Eubank, who of course he beat a year or 2 ago, Billy Joe, in the second half of the fight, he kind of got dragged into Chris Eubank's fight. It became a bit of a macho test, which arguably Eubank got the better of and finished strongly. He can't afford to do that against David Lemieux.
No, and in them sort of fights, because he had that fight, he probably won't do that. If he can keep the energy up, he doesn't get caught with any big shots or slow him down. If it stays like this tempo and he keeps the concentration levels up, it's hard to see how Lemieux, unless he lands with that money shot, how he gets the win right now. But the tactics are perfect.
More lovely evasive tactics from Saunders.
That's better from Lemieux. He just moving the head when he's starting to come forward. Make Saunders look for the target.
The whole Saunders entourage has been over here since November the 27th. They've not been training here near Montreal. They've been over in Toronto, well away from the Lemieux fan base.
Lemieux just following him around the ring, not cut the ring off there, Lemieux, that's the problem.
Crowd don't like it, but it's not particularly smart from Lemieux.
Smart there from Saunders though, spinning around the target. And they're not heavy shots there from Saunders, but they're scoring punches and they're frustrating punches.
Lemieux really trying to load up. Sometimes those shots which don't land can take as much out of you as those which do.
Of course, because you missed, you put everything in the shot, you missed, you got to pull that punch all the way back. But it's mentally the frustration, not being able to hit the target.
And it is a night of frustration so far for the Canadian challenger. Of course, we know it only takes one, but he's just not landing enough.
Four rounds down for me. I think Saunders is boxing tremendously well.
4 rounds up, says Dominic Ingle.
Definitely got to agree with Dominic on that. Billy Joe was really boxing to a game plan. He's being very evasive. He's showing very world-class moves in this fight. I think when you're a power puncher looking for one punch, it's very hard to land that against someone as slick as Billy Joe. I think he's in for a bit more punishment over the next few rounds.
Here's some good work from Saunders. Lovely uppercut, and then that right behind the guard.
That uppercut there, and that's all about it. He's frustrating Lemieux. Lemieux's holding his feet. He hasn't got the best footwork anyway, but the movement of Saunders is making Lemieux just hold his feet. He's nailed to the canvas, and then Billy's allowed to land with those beautiful shots, spinning off. And listen, he's boxing out of his skin for me. So stand-up performance so far from Saunders.
4 rounds so far, and Saunders has been the boss.
But as we know, John, Lemieux has that power to change a fight with one single shot. So the concentration, we said this earlier, the concentration is paramount for Saunders.
It was always going to be boxer against puncher, this one. So far, boxing is prevailing.
And he's not running. He's constantly moving. Another crowd are booing him a little bit. He's not running away, so he's still making it. It's an entertaining fight in that respect.
The fact that the crowd is booing him won't irritate or upset Billy Joe Saunders, I suspect, one shot. If anything, it might even inspire him. Oh, good shot. Lovely left hand. He is mentally strong, Billy Joe, and I thought in the run-up to this fight, I thought he definitely won the psychological battle, such as it was.
Yeah, but I think maybe, but I think come fight night, Lemieux's experienced enough characters to let all that go by. But what's happening here? Lemieux's in range to throw shots, but he knows he's going to miss if he don't get it right. So he's just holding those hands for a little bit too long, tensing up, and then the punches are a little bit too slow, and makes Saunders easier to read them. Lemieux's got to relax a little when he's close and let those punches go. You're going to miss with punches, keep throwing.
At what stage does Lemieux start to get desperate? Because so far, nothing really that he's done has reaped any sort of reward. Again, coming forward in straight lines, and Saunders able to anticipate and able to skip away, creating angles and trying to frustrate Lemieux, making him commit himself, and boxing beautifully off the back foot predominantly.
Lemieux must have felt, and his corner must have felt that he was going to get outboxed at stages. Good jab there though from Lemieux. But he's not putting up enough pressure. It's not enough urgency with the feet, the pressure to make Saunders uncomfortable.
Now he gets in with a body shot, partially blocked and then missed by a mile with the right hand. Saunders looking out into the crowd to see where it landed. Crowd not particularly amused by that one, but well, it brought a smile to my face.
Good shot there again from Saunders, that left hand. Again, Lemieux not being able to cut the ring off and chasing Saunders around.
One of the world's best fighters here, David Lemieux, at points has been made to look rather amateurish so far.
Just needs to make Saunders work harder so he can get, if he can slow the feet down of Saunders, then Lemieux has a chance. At the minute, Saunders still boxing relatively comfortable within himself, and for me, another round in the bag.
Well, he said that he'd schooled David Lemieux and that he might be a big puncher, but we weren't going to see those punches. He turns him, punches landed after the bell, and that has to be another round for the champion. The crowd don't like it, but he is going well, Tyson.
He really is performing excellent. You know, like I said before in previous rounds, it's the best I've ever seen him box against his most dangerous opponent. I think it's settling down a bit now, the fight into a good rhythm. He's starting to land some heavy punches in there.
From a Canadian perspective, what's this guy got to do?
This guy's got to pressure him with the feet, work the body, and hope he slows down later on in the fight. Because when you're one-dimensional like David Lemieux, you're never, ever going to beat someone like Saunders on points. It's got to be a knockout. And how to get a knockout? You tell me. Maybe hit him with a stick, I'd say. Trip him over.
I loved that moment, Barry, where he made him miss, and then he's looking out into the crowd to see where it landed.
And that's good, but long as he goes back to concentration, he goes back to that discipline. He's all right doing that and just making it clear, but go back to that concentration, go back to that good work.
Into the 6th round. And how's your scorecard looking, Barry?
I got a clean sweep for Saunders. I got him five rounds up.
Crowd responding, of course, to everything that Lemieux throws. But, well, you probably don't need telling, but they've got to land either on the torso or on the head to be scoring punches. If they're on gloves or arms, a right hand does just about manage to land a glancing blow there. Gloves or arms, they don't count.
He's landed with a few shots already in this round, Lemieux. Nothing heavy. There's still an encouraging sign.
He has the power, he has the equalising power, despite the fact that he's a long way behind on points, you would think.
Good jab there, though, from Saunders. Good left hand as well.
Not allowed to drag your man down, which Lemieux was trying to do.
Got to come back with that left hook, Lemieux, when he throws that right hand. Make it instinctive. Single shots against a slick mover like Saunders is not going to work. He's going to make you miss. He's going to come back with his own. He's going to frustrate you. You've got to throw in combinations. You've got to throw in punches.
Billy Joe won the title 2 years ago, December the 19th, against Andy Lee. That awful fight against the Russian Akavov up in Glasgow followed.
Oh, good left hook there from Lemieux.
And then William Monroe, and now this. Nearing the halfway stage of the contest. Championship distance, of course, it's a 12-rounder.
He's starting to have a little bit more success than I'm not sure if it's enough to win the round, but he's starting to land with that left hand of Saunders in this round again. Spearing through the guard of David Lemieux.
High energy needed to maintain the fleet-footed attack that Saunders has produced so far, and again Lemieux getting a bit closer there.
I was going to just say Saunders shouldn't sit on the ropes, and he didn't for too long. Done 2 movements and he span off. That's good. That's good. Good discipline, good focus.
Lemieux beckoning Saunders on. He wants him to engage, and the Canadian getting closer. But there's a terrific left hand again from Saunders. But Lemieux is on the front foot. The crowd urging him forward, but not enough success for the Canadian challenger.
More success than in the other rounds, but not enough for me.
So you score that another round for Saunders?
I did, John, without a doubt.
And that makes it 6 out of 6. Halfway stage. Well, self-evident, if the judges score it the same way, Tyson, he's got to win everything from here on in.
I don't see how the judges cannot score it the same way. I've got it 10-9 right through 6 to Saunders. Going into round 7.
Nice and relaxed.
Lemieux's going to have to do something a lot different than what he's doing. He had a little bit more success, but nothing of note, to be honest. Nothing that you can even give him a share of a round.
Dominic Ingalls saying, keep it relaxed, keep it nice and relaxed.
I think that the main point here is to keep focus, keep relaxed, keep remembering your breathing tactics. You know, Lemieux's corner's getting quite desperate. I can see it's getting quite animated in there at the moment. There's a few guys all talking at once, and that's never a good sign.
Well, it is starting to become a little bit of an embarrassing night for David Lemieux. He needs to have big rounds. You could see the reddening around his face as he's eaten so many jabs from Billy Joe Saunders, who spins his man around and makes him look clumsy yet again.
And that's the problem that Lemieux might have, that he needs more urgency in his work. But the bigger risks he takes, he might get the reward, but he also, you know, it's easier for, he's the bull to Saunders' matador. You know, he can make him miss, he'll make him pay.
Oh, good shot, great right hand from Saunders. The most telling punch of the fight so far. And Lemieux was stunned by that. Saunders is flat-footed now, knowing that his power has told.
But he's still showing Lemieux respect, and that's the right thing to do with a big puncher. He's still not getting overexcited, Saunders. Good shot. Good
shot again, big left hand this time. And there's a smear of blood from the nose of the Canadian. Quality work again from Billy Joe Saunders. Another great lead, scoring jab. The crowd chanting for their Canadian hero. They're trying to be an extra man in the ring for him, but it is one-sided here in the 7th.
Looking a little bit confused, isn't he, David Lemieux? Frustrated, he looked frustrated in the last few rounds. This round just looks confused.
Not only looking confused, he's starting to look a little bit busted up.
And Saunders systematically working him over, but not over-engaging, and that's very important. He's not leaving that chin hanging out, not leading into the shots.
Lemieux still has power. He'll have power as long as he's in there. He still has that one-punch knockout ability, although having said that, Billy Joe Saunders, of course, has never been on the floor.
But swinging and missing and taking shots like he is tires you out. Fantastic again there from Saunders. This has been his best performance by far. It's his biggest test on the biggest stage ever been on, and he's boxing out of his skin.
Well, he said, I'm going to school him. He said that right the way through. He said, I'm going to put you out like a candle. So far, he's been as good as his word.
As long as he keeps that concentration levels up. And it's a cheerleading for Saunders right now, but you can't help it because he is literally doing everything right.
There'll be those who say it's a one-eyed assessment, but how do you say that Lemieux has done anything close to even winning a round so far?
But it's a one-sided fight, that's why, John, and you would tend to think this might be where Lemieux might get into the fight, but no, Saunders dominating yet again.
Another big round for Billy Joe Saunders. Second half of the fight, first half he dominated, into the second half, and that's one of his most emphatic rounds so far.
Billy Joe Saunders has got to love the way this fight's going at the moment. David Lemieux is really starting to unravel now. He started to land some big punches on Lemieux. Lemieux's been hurt for the first time in this fight.
And he's getting busted up.
He really is getting busted up. If I was his corner, I'd be looking at giving him another round or so and pulling him out of this fight.
Really? As soon as that?
6 rounds down, 6-0.
Well, we're 7 now, aren't we? Right, we're into the second half of the fight.
7 rounds down, you know, he hasn't even shared a round. He's taken a lot of punishment in that round. Still has a little bit left in the tank. I'd like to see Billy Joe break him up a little bit more before stepping in and finishing the job.
Well, the worrying sign was, Tyson, that was Billy's best round, where you think that Lemieux would start to make a play, and that was Billy's best round by far.
Most definitely. He landed some beautiful shots in there. His confidence must be through the roof at the moment.
Best performance of Billy Joe Saunders' career so far as we move into round 8. Lemieux comes rushing out of his corner, knowing, and I'm sure told, as there's a little touch of heads between the two, knowing that he's going to have to put Saunders down.
Well, I think Lemieux was hoping that his physical presence, the weight of his shots, even if he didn't get the stoppage or the knockdowns, would have been tiring Saunders out. But he's the one with the missing and having to take shots and struggling to find the target. He's the one who looks the more fatigued of the two.
Clipped by a nice right-hand lead as he came in there, Lemieux. Trying to measure him for that right hand. but perhaps telegraphing it.
And we say about punches all the time, you know, sometimes when you have tremendous power, which Lemieux has, it disguises your deficiencies in sometimes your technical ability. And you get away with it because you drew such tremendous power, and that's what it has been with David Lemieux. And Saunders has exploited that because he is a master of his craft. He is one of the purest boxers we have in the UK. And he's showing it tonight, and this, cheerleading or not, these are just the facts.
Well, he's a boxer, for my money, who's at times let himself down, but at other times hasn't really got the credit which his skill has deserved. Maybe if he maintains this, that's a great left hand from Saunders, who taunts Lemieux as much as to say, that's what I can do, where are you?
Lemieux just squared his feet, allowing Saunders to with that right hand.
A little bit of showboating from Saunders, needs to maintain that concentration. But again, the blood starts to seep from Lemieux's nose.
Just needs a second win, doesn't he? Lemieux needs a little bit, good left hook there from Lemieux. Just needs a bit of injection of pace in his work now, David Lemieux.
The big prize, the tantalising prize of the most meaningful victory of Billy Joe Saunders' career is growing closer by the second. Still, Lemieux, on our card anyway, has yet to do enough to win a round, and he absorbs two more great straight shots and a left hook.
And then good footwork as well, the spin in the centre ring from Saunders.
And then Lemieux, as he does get into firing range, comfortably tied up by Saunders.
Doing everything right, Saunders. We said at the beginning of the fight, concentration, discipline was the key, and I think he's shown that so far tonight.
Bernard Hopkins, Oscar De La Hoya, they saw Lemieux as being rebuilt by winning this fight and moving on to fight, they hope, Canelo, Saul Alvarez, if he comes through against Gennady Golovkin in a rematch, but that is looking a somewhat forlorn hope at this stage.
You know, it looks like to me like it's a baby bull and the matador in there, and the matador being on a world level and the baby bull trying to catch up all the time. Billy Joe Saunders is boxing out of his skin tonight. You know, we've said it many times during the 8 rounds that's already been. There's not much more he can do, really. I'd like to see him just keep working behind his jabs, solid jabs.
Let's just listen to Dominic here in this corner.
Billy, 4 rounds. Okay, don't switch off. You're making it look too easy, but don't switch off. Keep taking that jab. Understand the time when you got to, don't let him load up. Right, he's got 4 rounds. Understand? Another 2 rounds. Pop straight. Here we go.
We've got a punch stat for you. 115 have landed from Saunders, apparently 42 from Lemieux. But I'm frankly a little bit surprised by that statistic. I'm not sure where 42's come from.
Nor have I.
Tyson Fury, alongside myself and Barry Jones, here at ringside in Canada tonight, where thus far a little bit of a virtuoso performance from Billy Joe Saunders in the 9th round.
What Saunders has done, he's taken a world-class puncher and he's taken his best, with his footwork, he's taken his best weapons away from him. That's exactly what he's done. Lemieux needs to have it to set your feet, needs to be in front of him. And his footwork's not good enough, and everyone knows that. His footwork hasn't been good enough tonight to close the gap against Saunders.
Saunders this time the one who's beckoning him in. There's a little bit of talking between the two of them, and Billy Joe saying, come on, let's see what you can do. Commit yourself, and I'll pick you off with some counters. Jab from Lemieux does get through. Again, a little bit of talking from Saunders.
Well, it has been easy, and Dominic Ingle said in the corner, it's been easy, but stay switched on.
Lemieux surely has to knock him out now if he's going to win this fight. Judges, Phil Edwards of the United Kingdom, a Puerto Rican judge and a Canadian judge. They're watching on at ringside. How do you give Lemieux a round, though, so far?
It's difficult. He's had a couple of better rounds than he's had, but none enough to win. He's landed with a handful of punches. in his best rounds, and sometimes no punches in others. And the pace hasn't been frantic either. That's been good for Saunders. Now, a slower pace always suits the more skillful fighter.
Well, and Billy Joe has had stamina issues at times in earlier in his career. He's tended to fade later on in fights. But having said all that, you know, I mean, he's significantly fitter now, by my way of looking, than he has been possibly at any stage in his career.
That's good from Saunders. He is, John, but this hasn't been that fight where it's made in question or have to show that stamina.
Right hand did find its way through there from Lemieux. Saunders takes it, though, almost contemptuously. Doesn't want to stand in front of him, though. Lemieux might just get heartened by the fact that he did manage to get through with at least one shot in this round, but absorbs another. Right-hand lead, he's jabbed so well.
Oh, lovely jab again. You just said it, John, and then he threw a lovely one. He needs to slow Saunders down. He needs that big shot to make Saunders, you know, wary of that power, and he has been able to do that. Hasn't been able to slow him down with the big punches. Hasn't been able to hit the target clean enough to worry Saunders.
By virtue of what he's done in here tonight, he's not really found the respect of Billy Joe Saunders, who's got his gloves contemptuously low in the closing stages of the round. Another round for Saunders, did you have it?
No, most definitely. I think that might have been Lemieux's best round, but still not enough.
Perfect, says Dominic Ingle.
I think this is a masterclass boxing display, and I'm just thinking what Canelo Alvarez will be making of this fight now, because we know Canelo has slow feet and fast hands, which would be a nightmare with somebody like Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, what you are doing, use your footwork.
Use your footwork, keep doing what you're doing. And as we approach the 10th round, they're looking a bit desperate as well, they might.
You know that, well, they should look desperate. They need a knockout punch from somewhere. I don't think there's much chance of it. Billy Joe is a very clever fighter. He knows not to stand and trade. Keep behind the jab, and he's won this fight every round quite comfortably.
And he doesn't look as though he's got the speed and the snap, Lemieux, to actually knock him out if he gets into range. It doesn't look as though it's there anymore.
It doesn't look that way, but they still carry power right into the 12th round, to the end of the bell.
We go now into the 10th round, 3 remaining. There's a straight right from Lemieux. Saunders just had to absorb that one. He's got to keep his footwork going. More of the same that served him so well to this point. Concentration, vital, according to Dominic Ingle. And he says that his performance so far has been perfect, Barry.
Yeah, and he's just starting to throw some little feints as well into his work now. Something that Tyson was talking about at the beginning, about round 3 on. He's starting to do it now, just little feints and throw the jab.
Left hand from Lemieux. Cuffing sort of shot, and straight away a roar from the crowd, which has been pretty muted throughout. They're getting excited now, though, and Lemieux's corner imploring him to let the punches go when he gets into range. There's a right hand into the chest of Saunders, which does land. A smile from Saunders, as much as to say, yeah, you might have got through, but it's done zip.
And it was a left hook, just a few combinations before that as well from Lemieux.
Better work from the Canadian in the opening minute of this 10th round. As the blood flows from his nose, as it has done for several rounds now. Saunders absolutely unmarked. Good jab. And a straight left. 1 or 2 oohs from the Canadian fans.
I think it's Lemieux struggling for pace, because he landed with a good shot and he couldn't build on it.
Well, we said earlier, didn't we, that the shots you miss with can take as much out of you, if not more, and he's swung through thin air so many times.
And the most tiring thing in a fight is taking punches, and he's taken plenty. Listen, he hasn't been really rocked too many times, though. He's been a couple of times he looked a little bit, you know, stunned, but he takes the shot well.
Tough man. You don't get high world rankings for no reason.
But the footwork's let Lemieux down. He hasn't been able to put Saunders under pressure. Saunders been boxing within himself for the most part. He's dictated the pace, even when he's been the one moving round the ring.
Saunders urging him in again. Oh, good work. Hand speed and accuracy.
Good job there, and a lovely uppercut.
Ooh. Tried to say it's not done anything to me. I think most people who know the sport, and the two wise men alongside me, Barry and Tyson, would know that that certainly took a toll at this stage of the fight. Another round where he tried hard, Lemieux, in the early stages, but not doing enough to take a round, was he?
No, he done okay in the first half of the round. Billy Joe started to land with some heavy shots towards the end. I'm just thinking, watching this fight, Lemieux is very, very highly ranked. What type of an opponent are we going to need to see to extend Billy Joe on this type of boxing performance?
Well, that's a good question, Barry. It's not comfortably for me. I mean, we've commentated and watched, I think.
Eat him nice and accurate and clean.
Let's just listen to this.
Come on, it's a boxing exhibition, this. It's a boxing exhibition.
There you go. You don't need to wind him up. Just keep it nice and clean. It's a boxing exhibition.
That was David Lemieux's best round by a million miles. And for me, I still don't think he did enough to win it. And that is a real, at this late stage in the fight, that's a real problem for him. Because he's looking spent, he's looking tired.
Little Steve's a happy boy.
He started to get animated now, young Steve.
Dad's doing rather handily. 2 rounds to go.
Definitely.
A boxing exhibition, says Dominic Ingle. Don't goad him. Don't go in for kidology. Just keep doing what you're doing.
But we've said before, the build-up to this fight, Saunders could be 11 and a half rounds up. If he takes a big shot off Lemieux, it could be the end of the night. So as long as he keeps the discipline that he's shown, and it's very important, and we keep saying the same thing, but it's true, then he skates to his most impressive and biggest victory of his career, of his life.
I honestly don't think if he can keep this going, and if he can continue for the remaining minutes of this fight, I don't think anybody but anybody thought it would be as one-sided as it has been. Nobody.
Oh, good left hand there from Saunders. You felt that he would be winning on points, or no, at any stage, or win on points the whole fight. But and outbox Lemieux at stages. But you thought Lemieux would win some rounds, have pockets of success, and put Saunders in pressure and make him feel his power at some point. And that power hasn't come into question at all tonight.
Crowd cheering Lemieux on as he has to eat another right hand to get into range.
And he's landed with a few shots, Lemieux, but again, they haven't been nothing really flush. And that's a frustrating sign. That's a frustrating night it's been for Lemieux, for the big punch and not be able to show your power.
Tyson asked the question, Barry, on this sort of form, who does get to Billy Joe Saunders?
Oh, Golovkin and also
Canelo's smarter, isn't he, than this? He's got better footwork,
well,
way better.
They're both better than Lemieux. Lemieux's a world-class fighter. He's a top 5 fighter in the world, without a doubt. But, you know, they are a league above, so it'll be a bigger test. But this is just a great performance from Saunders.
Best of his career.
Well, it is, and he's cemented himself now as one of the top 3 in the world, and he is a threat and a viable opponent for these two guys. People weren't sure before. After this now, they will know it'll be competitive. If not, he can win.
Lemieux getting into range, had to take a left hand as he did so, and misses with a left of his own, or only a glancing blow.
The jab's been good tonight for Saunders, seeing it there again. And that in some of these rounds like this, where no one's really landed with too many clean shots, it's been enough for me. That's what's been giving him the rounds. And there haven't been many of these sort of rounds. Again, the move there, not quite connecting with that left hook. Oh, good right hand.
Now he gets in with the right hand, and Saunders has to just hold on and buy a second or two. Caught solidly for the first time for many a round, for many a minute, and now taken by left hand as well. Saunders up on his toes, taunting Lemieux and making him miss with a right hand follow-up. And there's the bell to end it. Lemieux, well, he's not happy with the way at which Saunders is taunting him. He had some success. Did he do enough to win the round?
Not for me. I'll give it a share, John. I think he done well at the end, but enough to give it a share, not enough to win.
He landed a couple of glancing blows towards the end, but he's very frustrated, in my opinion. He'd love nothing more than Billy Joe to stand still so we could exchange bombs. But that is not going to happen. I know Billy Joe. He knows he's got 1 round to go. And he'll come out and he'll box very, very cleverly.
We heard Dominic behind you there saying he's going to run at you, he's going to give everything, he's going to try and take you here.
If you are Lemieux in this situation, you've got to go out there and throw everything but the kitchen sink and more. Dig deep, dig, 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 dig. How much do you want it? Put everything into it, and I don't think it's still going to be good enough.
1 round remaining. On Barry's card, Billy Joe Saunders is ahead by a mile.
Yeah, and if Lemieux does just run at him now and chase it in, that might suit Saunders, because he's going to walk on the shots.
The Canadian crowd trying to rouse the wounded bull, trying to get him to find one big punch somehow to extricate himself from the mire.
It'll be some comeback if Lemieux can get this stoppage in this last round. Be the fight of his career.
It would be the most extraordinary turnaround if David Lemieux somehow now can find a knockout punch. He did land some power punches in the closing stages of the 11th.
And very importantly, didn't trouble Saunders. That's very important. I think the power is probably slightly reduced because he is tired, Lemieux. It's been a grueling fight. Without him he hasn't been seriously hurt, but it's been a grueling and a frustrating night for Lemieux.
Winds up again with yet another massive right hand, which misses by a full 6 inches or so. It absolutely puts Billy Joe Saunders into the Golovkin-Canelo equation. He could well, with this performance, be heading towards a fight against the winner of that rematch, assuming it happens, and they're talking about it for May the 6th. Unless Lemieux, in the remaining 90 seconds or so, can somehow find the elusive big punch that he's been looking for all night.
Well, Saunders just got to stay on his feet to win. And that's all he has to do. All he has to do is finish the fight, and he's won this fight by a landslide. He really has.
Not too many British supporters over here in Canada. A lot of friends, of course, and his closest family cheering on Billy Joe Saunders. But there'll be so many fans back home in the UK watching on and being massively impressed by what their favourite has produced. A minute to go and he will have the best win of his life.
What Lemieux's not doing, when Lemieux throws the right hand, he should be winging in that left hook. He's really going for broke. Right down to the chest and big left hook over the top. That's what Lemieux needs. The foot positioning with the left foot is in the right place to do that. But he's just throwing that one right hand, Lemieux. Single shots against a technical boxer like Saunders is not going to work, and it hasn't worked all night for him.
The crowd booing Saunders, who's just backpedaling and staying away, but boos of frustration, maybe boos of ignorance. Say what you like, but he has done precious little tonight, David Lemieux. Last 15 seconds now, and Saunders has been exceptional.
And Lemieux just chased shadows all night.
And continues to do so right up to the final bell. There'll be only one man celebrating here, and it is a great British victory. His father, Tommy, standing up, cheering him on. Disappointment for the Lemieux supporters. There's his little son, Steve, and Dominic Ingle. He's a strong boy. He's got Billy Joe Saunders on his shoulders, and big credit, I think, for Dominic Ingle, because he has brought Billy Joe Saunders absolutely to the peak of fitness, got the preparations absolutely right, and he has done exactly what he said he would do. He has schooled the Canadian.
He really has, and a more superior performance than we ever thought was possible. We thought he would be the better boxer, but not by that sort of decision, not by that sort of performance. The discipline was first class, and for me, he's a clear winner.
Tyson, I know that he's a mate of yours, but you're sitting and watching on with real admiration.
This was his coming out party, live on TV in the UK, live on TV in the US, against his toughest opponent, and he passed with flying colours. Billy Joe Saunders is ready for the next step. Winner of Golovkin or Canelo. Whoever it may be will be in for a real test against Saunders.
28 years old, and he's kind of been on a slow burn, hasn't he? There's times he's fallen out of love with the sport. He's back.
He's definitely come of age tonight. I believe the better opponent Billy Joe gets in the ring with, the better he performs. I think this is only the start of a match-fit fighter, in shape, doing the weight right, beginning of massive, massive things.
And I think that's a point there. I think it's been a little bit of lack of motivation. As you said, Tyson, I think he needs that high level of opponent to show his best, and he's done it tonight. And talking about Golovkin and Canelo, let's worry about what he did tonight. And he beat the guy who was top 4, 5 in the world, and he beat him easily.
He beat him in every aspect. I mean, you could argue, in fact, you would argue,
Hang on.
the biggest punches and the real punches have been landed by Billy Joe Saunders. Here's the result.
We go to the scorecards. Benoit Roussel scores at 120 to 108. Gerardo Martinez 117 to 111. And Phil Edwards 118 to 110. All three scorecards to the winner by unanimous decision. And still WBO middleweight champion of the world, still undefeated, the superb Billy Joe Saunders.
Massive margins. British judge had it by